What's up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Paris and I make videos all about candle making and the starting and managing of my small candle business, Lady Simone Candle Co. Today's video is all about my inventory process. Yes, as promised, I am showing you the back end of my inventory system, how I manage everything now that I am fully functioning on Inventora after closing out my business year. I'm also going to show you how I enter in a supply order because I did place a supply order last week for a few things. And so I'm going to give an example on how I enter in a supply order and then also share some tips on candle making production. So let's just get started. Welcome to the back end of my inventory system. Yes, I use Inventora now. I am super pleased with it so far. It's super easy to work with and it does everything that I need it to do in a more automated process, and I'm loving it. I was using spreadsheets for the last 3 years of my business and it was working well, and actually I enjoyed the spreadsheets because it really taught me a lot about accounting and cost of goods sold and things like that from a business perspective. So I really appreciate my growth from that perspective of a business owner with using those spreadsheets. But now moving forward with Inventora, I'm loving it because it's a lot more automated and it will make for a lot less work for me this year when keeping track of all of my inventory. So here is the back end of my inventory process. What they have is it's separated out into different categories for you to keep track of your inventory. So here is where you would keep track of all of your raw supplies and materials. Here is where you'll keep track of all of your finished products. And then they also have a production feature that you can use when you are batching out a lot of candles and wax melts at one time. And then under the more option, this is where you can enter in your orders. So like if you have a wholesale order, here is where you can enter in that and it will deduct your stock level. And then here is where you'll enter you enter in supply orders. Here's the reports feature, and they also have an audits feature as well. So just to give you a little walkthrough of the back end of my inventory system, here is the materials tab. And under the materials is where you'll enter all of your raw supplies and materials that you use to run and operate your candle business, to make your finished products and so forth. And so how I navigated this section was just basically entering everything based on pretty much the assembly line that I had in my head. So I entered in and categorized all of my raw supplies and materials step by step in how I actually make a candle and a wax melt, because it just makes sense for me in my head. And so what I recommend is, if you are using inventory or if you're thinking about using Inventora, under the materials section, categorize all of your raw supplies and materials based on what makes sense for you. This is how it makes sense for me in my head. When I batch produce my candles and wax melts, I'm very intentional, very step-by-step and organized in how I prep. And so based on how I prep and assemble everything in its order, that's how I categorized everything, because it just made sense for me. And so here is what all of your raw supplies and materials look like on one page. So it has the name of the product, the current stock level, and inside of the product, you're able to tell Inventora what you want your minimum stock level to be. So here is your current stock level. Here is your minimum stock level. And based on your minimum stock level, it will show up in red if you are surpassed your minimum stock level. So here for my lids, I want my minimum stock level to be 24 pieces. And here for this particular lid, I have 3 pieces left. So it will show up in red to kind of flag your attention. to let you know, hey, you're running low. Here is the unit cost, so the cost per piece or per gram, depending on what unit you are working with, based on the product. And then SKU, I don't really use SKU when I'm entering in raw supplies and materials, but I do use the supplier feature inside. So I do make sure I notate what supplier I ordered from. I gave it a category, and then of course enter in the date that I ordered it. And then because I use grams across the board, I'm very consistent in the unit type that I use when working my business. I made a little note inside the product letting me know that my minimum stock level for this particular product, it equals 5 pounds. So it lets me know, like, when it flags me, that means I actually have 5 pounds of wax left. And it equates to this 2,267 grams. But I like to use grams across the board when it comes to my wax and fragrance oils, because that is how I work my formula. And so I also use grams inside my inventory platform too, and just make notes where needed to help me convert my numbers. So here is where you can actually go if you're looking for a particular supply. So it's separated out into different categories. So here's my fragrance oils, my labels, lids, packaging, wax, wick stickers, and wicks. So this is where I am at with all of my raw supplies and materials. And here are all of my products all lumped together. Right now, with my business, I have 9 candles and nine corresponding wax melts as well. And so when I enter in my products, you can also give it a category. So if you just want to look at just your candles or just your wax melts, you can do that as well. Of course, the stock level, you can assign a minimum stock level. I am going to go in and enter in the unit, the cost per candle, and enter in my SKU numbers. I have not gotten around to that yet, but in the notes section, I just have the actual scent listed, so I can recognize it quickly. And so I'm just going to go in one. I'm going to edit the details here so you can see what I mean. So here's how you name it. Here's how you assign a minimum stock level. Here's how you categorize it. If you have a SKU, you can definitely enter that. Here is my total price for what I charge for my candle, and then here at the bottom is where I have the scent name. Same with my materials. Just click wax here, edit details. So here's my tart wax. I named it. This was my current stock level, year ending 2021. Again, I always use grams as my unit across the board. The minimum stock level is 2,267 grams, which equates to 5 pounds. I got it from a supplier, and I enter in the supplier name. I gave it a category for wax when I ordered it, and then I put notes here to let me know that the minimum stock level equals 5 pounds. And so when it comes to entering in your raw supplies and materials and your products in terms of editing what you want to see and how you want to categorize things, how you want to assign things, do what makes sense for you is what I recommend, because you're going to be working your inventory. So you don't necessarily need to copy or mimic what somebody else's look like, unless that works for you. But I always recommend doing what works for you, because you're the one that's going to be in and out of this platform more than anybody. As far as your products go, Inventora does sync with e-commerce platforms. I think right now they sync with Shopify, Etsy, and Wix. So I would recommend making sure that your seller's platform, or whatever seller's platform you intend to use, Inventora can sync with it. And so Shopify is synced with Inventora. And so when I synced my shop with Inventora, it automatically pulled in my current stock level. So right now I am completely out of candles, as you can see, and then I have a few of each wax melt scent. I am cleaned out. I was cleaned out the top of the year actually, and I just took a break because of the baby. So I am actually in the process of restocking everything now. So these are the numbers that it pulled from Shopify, and it was very accurate in doing so. So I find it helpful to have it synced with Inventora, so that way anytime I update stock levels in Inventora, it will automatically update it in Shopify as well, and both platforms will be on one accord. And again, with the production feature, this is helpful if you want to mass produce candles and wax melts. So if you need to make 50 candles or 20 wax melts, you can do a production run, and Inventora will automatically deduct the raw supplies and materials that you used to make that amount of candles and or wax melts. So Inventora is very, very handy. It's very automated, and I'm loving it. It's definitely going to make my life a lot easier this year. So moving on to an example of entering in a supply order. So here is a recent supply order that I did last week of some sample fragrance oils from Candle Science. And so I am going to show you really quick how to enter that into Inventora. So when you have a supply order and you have more than one item that you ordered, what you need to do first is divvy out the shipping price amongst all of the items. So we have 7 items here for the supply order. So what you want to do first is take the $10.90 that it costs for me to get it shipped, and you want to divide that by 7. So that way you can equally apply the shipping cost to each item. I already did that math beforehand, and it came to $1.55. And so in order to properly calculate the unit cost for each item, because that's what you're going to have to enter in for your inventory, you take the price of the item and you add the shipping cost to it that you divvied out. And then when you enter it into your inventory, then we'll be able to calculate the math to get the cost per unit. So I like to use grams, so I'm trying to find the cost per gram for each item. So I already did the math. I took $2.65 plus the $1.55 for the shipping, and it comes to $4.20. So we are going to start with the first cent here and go to add material and put in the name, current stock level. So I have not used it yet. I haven't used any of these samples yet. So it is a 1 ounce bottle, which equates to 28 grams. So the current stock level is 28 grams. So you want to change your stock unit type to grams, well, at least for me. My minimum stock level for fragrance oils is always 113 grams, which is, I believe, 4 ounces. Yeah, 113 grams. So 4 ounces. So I got to start all over. Current stock level is 28 grams. My minimum stock level for fragrance oil is always 113 grams, which equals a 4 ounce bottle. So I'm basically telling myself I never want to go below a 4 ounce bottle. It is purchased from a supplier. And here is where we're at with the cost per gram or cost per whatever unit you chose. So you want to click the calculate button. And so now it's going to ask you a series of questions in order to get the cost per gram to calculate for you. So how many grams did you buy? I bought 28 grams. How much did you pay for the material without tax and shipping? So it was $2.65. How much did you pay in tax? So I actually need to divide out the tax too. So I actually forgot to do that part. So you want to take the $1.91 divided out by 7 items. So it's actually 27 cents per item. So for tax, it's 27 cents. And then how much did you pay for shipping? And that was what we already calculated before, and that was the $1.55. And so here it gives me the cost per gram, and then you can hit save. Boom. See, don't you love it? I love this. The supplier was Candle Science, and the category is fragrance oil, and I ordered it on, what was my order date? February 24th. And hit save. Boom. And so let's see, where is that at? Here we go. It's right here. So of course it's going to show up red because my minimum stock level is 113 grams, and I only purchased a 1 ounce bottle, so it looks like I'm already low, but it was a sample. And that is how you enter in a new material. And so you would do that for every single item. So I would do that for the remaining 6 fragrance oils. And that is how you enter in a new material. Now, when you buy supplies and materials that you already have entered in here, you basically just want to go in and update the stock level. So let's say I purchased 4 ounces of my amber note scent. You would click your fragrance oil, edit details, and then here under current stock level, you want to click update. And so 4 ounces equal to 113 grams. So I will enter in 113. It's already set to grams. Make sure this is set to add. You see how it automatically will let you know this is what your new stock level is. Make sure it's set to supply order. And when you hit the green arrow, it will give you a pop-up window for you to enter in your order date and the cost per gram or the cost per unit. And then you just hit save and it will update your raw supply and material and the current stock level here. Boom. So now I would like to get into just some tips on production, mass candle making production or wax melt production. So number one that I want to recommend is nailing down your formula. Knowing how much wax and fragrance oil it takes to make one candle or one wax melt is going to help you batch your products so much more easier, because at that point it's just going to take simple multiplication. So for example, if it takes me 180 grams of wax and 18 grams of fragrance oil for me to make one candle, and I need to make 20 candles, I'm simply going to multiply 180 grams times 20 to know how much total wax I need, and then the 18 grams times 20 to know the total fragrance oil I need. If you are curious about trying to figure out your formula, if you have not subscribed to LADYC'S Digital Studio, please do. The link will be in the description box, and this is actually a freebie. So take advantage of this freebie and this guide on how to make your calculations and enter in your numbers, because this is just an example, but enter in your numbers to make your calculations. In Inventora, though, it's also helpful when creating a new product or updating the stock level, right? Because of a current product that you already have in there. So if I need to update my beautiful candle, right, because I just made 20 of them, I am then able to tell Inventora how much of each raw supply material I used associated in making that product. So, I really, really encourage you all to nail down your formula. Figure out how much wax and fragrance oil it takes to make one candle, one wax melt. So that way it's easy when updating stock levels. You can tell your inventory platform accurate numbers, and that way you always have an accurate count of how much wax and fragrance oil and other supplies you have left. The second tip that I want to give you is to just get organized. Check current stock levels of raw supplies and materials to ensure you have enough to make what you intend to make. So in Inventora, you can actually check this under the materials because it will flag it red, as you saw in earlier clips. So even if you try to enter in a new raw, new products that you try to make 20 of a particular scent, it will actually flag you if you do not have enough of the total raw supplies and materials to make what you need to make. So I love that Inventora will let you know, like, hey girl, you don't have enough wax, honey, to make 20 candles. Based on how much wax it takes you to make one candle, if you don't have that times 20 in your current stock level, Inventora will tell you that. Also, list out what scents you need to make and how many of each scent you need to make. So I do this every single time, just so I can stay organized. So if I need to make 3 different scents and I need to make 8 of each one, then I am going to write that down, do my math for how much wax and fragrance oil I need total, and all that good stuff. Another thing that I do is I always gather my supplies and set up my workstation. So I want to encourage you to do the same thing. Get organized in your workstation. If you're making more than one scent, I always label the jars with sticky tags. You see me do that in a lot of my candle making videos, and I group the jars by scent on my cookie trays, my cookie sheets that you see me use, so I can be more efficient in my pouring, and my assembly line is a lot more smooth. Also, level up on your supplies. This is tip number 3. So when I say level up on your supplies, when you are getting to the point where you are mass producing, this is where you want to start making investments in more equipment. So have more than one pouring pitcher and invest in a wax melter or a Presto pot, because it will cut down your production time in half. Last tip, number 4, you want to do weekly inventory checks. So although I use inventory, I still make sure that Shopify and Inventora are in sync and both match what I have on my shelf. So I check my inventory weekly. I make sure that all 3, my shelf, Inventora, and Shopify, are all together and everything matches. And the reason why I say this is because as a business owner, and I've learned over the years, you have to take accountability for your business, and it matters for accounting and taxes. I've learned that over the past couple tax seasons, and so I recommend getting in a habit to still make sure that what you have on your shelf, what you have listed on your Shopify store or your seller's platform, all matches well. I recommend weekly to do a count of products and make sure your inventory platform and seller's platform matches. But depending on how much you order and how much things are flying off your shelf, you can even push that back to bi-weekly or even monthly, to not only do a count of your raw supplies and materials, which I tend to do monthly, but as far as your finished products, I do tend to do that weekly or no later than bi-weekly. So I do hope you have enjoyed this video. I hope this was helpful. This is how I manage my inventory now, guys. I love it. It's way more efficient. It's saving me a lot of time. I do recommend Inventora. If you are not a spreadsheets person or like doing it manually, I recommend Inventora if you're looking for a more efficient and automated way of tracking your inventory. After 3 years of spreadsheets, I finally made the switch. But I always recommend, if you are not as knowledgeable or proficient in accounting or cost of goods and understanding your pricing, your products, and things like that, the Paper and Spark spreadsheets that are also good as well. And Inventora is a monthly subscription. The spreadsheet is just a one-time purchase. And it comes with a lot of video tutorials to help you with your accounting and things like that. So if you are looking to either invest in both, so you can have an automated inventory system but learn your accounting and cost of goods and pricing, I would list both in the description box, so that way you can take advantage of both and level up not only your knowledge but your business operations this year. Again, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. The link to LadyC's Digital Studio is also in the description box, so take advantage of that, where you can get access to my freebies and join the LadyC's studio so you can get access to everything that I offer in terms of all of my resources. I will catch you in the next video. Bye.